Hello everyone, welcome to NCERT Audiobook. Today we start the lesson 5th of class 11th, Morphology of Flowering Plants. The wide range in the structure of higher plants will never fail to fascinate us, even though the angiosperm shows such a large diversity in external structure or morphology. They are all characterized by presence of roots, stem, leaves, flowers and fruits. In chapter 1, 2 and 3, we talk about classification of the plants based on morphological and other characteristics. For any successful attempt at classification and at understanding any higher plants or for that matter any living organism, we need to understand standard technical terms and standard definitions. We also need to know about the possible variations in different parts found as adaptation of the plants to their environment. Example, adaptation to various habitats for protections, climbing and storage, etc. If you pull out any weed, you will see that all of them have roots, stems and leaves. They may be bearing flowers and fruits. The underground part of the flowering plants is root system while the portion above the ground forms the shoot system. The root 5.1 the root. In majority of the dicotyledonous plants, the direct elongations of the radicle leads to the formation of primary root, which grow inside the soil. It bears lateral roots of several orders that are referred to as the secondary, tertiary, etc. roots. The primary roots and its branches constitute the taproot system as seen in the mustard plant. In monocotyledonous plant, the primary root is short-lived and is replaced by a large number of roots. These roots originates from the base of the stem and constitute the fibrous root system. As seen in the wheat plant, in some plants like grasses, monstera and the banyan tree, roots arises from the parts of the plant other than the radicle and are called adventitious roots. The main function of the root system are absorption of water and minerals from the soil, providing a proper anchor to the plant parts, storing reserve food materials and synthesis of the plant growth regulators. Regions of the root. The root is covered at the apex by a thimble-like structure called the root cap. It protects the tender apex of the root as it makes its way through the soil. A few millimeters above the root cap is the region of meristematic activity. The cells of these regions are very small, thin-walled and with dense protoplasm. They divide repeatedly. The cells proximal to this region undergo rapid elongation and enlargement and are responsible for the growth of the root in length. This region is called the region of elongation. The cells of the elongation zone gradually differentiated and mature. Hence, this zone proximal to region of elongation is called region of maturation. From these regions, some of the epidermal cells form very fine and delicate thread-like structure called root hairs. These root hairs absorb water and minerals from the soil. Modifications of roots. Roots in some plants change their shape and structure and become modified to form functions other than absorption and conduction of water and minerals. They are modified for support, storage of food and respiration. Tap roots of carrot, turnip and adventitious roots of sweet potato get swollen and stored food. Can you give some more such examples? Have you ever wondered what those hanging structures that support in banyan tree are? These are called prop roots. Similarly, the stems of the maize and sugarcane have supporting roots coming out of the lower nodes of them. These are called slit root. In some plants such as rhizophora growing in swampy areas, many roots come out of the ground and grow vertically upward. Such roots called nematophores help the get oxygen for respiration. The stem. What are the features that distinguish a stem from the root? The stem is the ascending part of the axis bearing branches, leaves, flowers and fruits. It develops from the plumule of the embryo of a germinating seed. The stem bears nodes and internodes. The region of the stem where leaves are born are called nodes, while internodes are the portion between two nodes. The stem bears buds, which may be terminal or axillary. Stem is generally green when young and later often become woody and dark brown. The main function of the stem is spreading out branches bearing leaves, flowers and fruits. It conducts water, minerals and photosynthesis. Some stems perform the function of storage of food, support, protection and of vegetative propagation. 5.2.1 Modifications of stem. The stem may not allow be typically like that they are expected to be. They are modified to perform different functions. Underground stem of potato, ginger, turmeric, Zaminican, calocasia are modified to storage of food in them. They also act as organs of perinations to tide over the conditions unfavorable for growth. Stem tendrils which develop from auxiliary bud are slender and spirally coiled and help a plant to climb such as in gourd, cucumber, pumpkins and watermelon. And grapevine, auxiliary buds of the stems may also get modified into woody, straight and pointed thorns. Thorns are found in many plants such as citrus and bougainvillea. They protect the plants from the burrowing animals. Some of them arid region modified their stem into flattened opuntia or fleshy cylindrical euphorbia structure. They contain the chlorophyll and carry out photosynthesis. Underground stems of some plants such as grass and strawberry, etc. Spread to new niche and when older part die, new plants are formed. In plants like mint and jasmine, a slender lateral branch arises from the base of the main axis and after growing aerially for some time arch downwards to touch the ground. A lateral branch with short internodes and each node bearing a rostay of the leaves and the tuft of root is found in aquatic plants like pistia and Econia. Example, in banana, pineapple and chrysanthemum, the lateral branches originate from the basal and underground portion of the main stem, grow horizontally beneath the soil and then come out obliquely upward, giving rise to leafy shoots. The leaf. The leaf is a lateral, generally flattened structure borne on the stem. It develops at the nodes and bears a bud in its axil. The axillary bud later develops into a branch. Leaves originate from shoot apical meristem and are arranged in the acropetal order. They are the most important vegetative organs in the photosynthesis. A typical leaf consists of three main parts: leaf base, petiole and lamina. The leaf is attached to the stem by the leaf base and may bear two lateral small leaf-like structure called stipule. In monocotyledons, the leaf base expands into the sheath covering the stem partially or wholly. In some leguminous plants, the leaf base may become swollen, which is called the pulvinis. The petiole help hold the blade to light. Long, thin, flexible petiole allow the leaf blades to flutter in wind. They may thereby cooling the leaf and bringing fresh air to leaf surface. The lamina or the leaf blade is green expanded part of the leaf with the veins and veinlets. There is usually a middle prominent vein which is known as the midrib. Veins provide rigidity to the leaf blade and acts as a channels of transport of water, minerals and food materials. The shape, margin, apex, surface and the extent of the incisions of the lamina varies in different leaves. Venation. The arrangement of the veins and the ventlets in the lamina of the leaf is termed as venation. When the ventlets from the network, the venations is termed as a reticulate. When the veins runs parallel to each other within the lamina, the venation is termed as a parallel. Leaves of dicotyledonous plants generally possess reticulate venation, while parallel venation is the characteristics of most monocotyledonous. Types of leaves. A leaf said to be a simple when it is lamina is entire and when insisted. The incision do not touch the midrib. When the incision of the lamina reach up to the midrib, breaking it into the number of leaflets, that leaf is called compound. A bud is present in the axial of the petiole in both simple and compound leaves, but not in the axial of leaflets of the compound leaf. The compound leaves may be two types. A pinnately compound leaf, a number of the leaflets are present on the common axis, the rachis, which represent the midrib of the leaf, as in neem. In palmately compound leaves, the leaflets are attached at a common point, that is at the tip of the petiole, as in silk cotton. 3.3 Phyllotoxy. Phyllotoxy is the pattern of the arrangement of the leaves on the stem or branch. This is usually of three types: alternate, opposite and whorled. In alternate type of the phyllotoxy, a single leaf arises at each node in alternate manner. As in China rose, mustard and the sunflower plants, in opposite type, a pair of the leaves arises at each node and lie opposite to each other, as in calotropis and guava plant. If more than two leaves arises at the node and form a whorl, it is called whorled as a alstonia. Modification of leaves. Leaves are often modified to perform the functions other than photosynthesis. They are converted into tendril for climbing as in peas or into spines for defense as in cacti. The fleshy leaves of the onion and the garlic store food. In some plants such as Australian acacia, the leaves are small and short-lived. The petioles in these plants expand, become green and synthesized food. Leaves of certain insectivorous plants such as pitcher plant, Venus flytrap are also modified leaves. A flower is a modified shoot wherein the shoot apical meristem changes to floral meristem. Internode do not elongate and the axis gets condensed. The apex produces different kind of the floral appendages laterally at successive nodes instead of leaves. When a shoot tip transforms into a flower, it is always solitary. The arrangement of the flowers on the floral axis is termed as inflorescence, depending on whether the apex get developed into a flower of continuous to grow. Two major types of the inflorescence are defined: racemose and cymose. In racemose type of the inflorescence, the main axis continues to grow and the flowers are borne laterally in an acropetal succession. In cymose type of the inflorescence, the main axis terminates in a flower, hence they are limited in growth. The flowers are borne in a basipetal order. The flower. The flower is the reproductive unit of the angiosperm. It is meant for the sexual reproduction. A typical flower has four different kinds of the whorls arranged successively on the solan end of the stalk or pedicel, called thalamus or receptacle. These are calyx, corolla, androecium and gynoecium. Calyx and corolla are accessory organs while the androecium and gynoecium are reproductive organs. In some flowers like a lily and calyx and corolla are not distinct and they termed as a perianth. When the flowers has both androecium and gynoecium, it is called bisexual. A flower having either only stamen or in carpel, it is unisexual. In symmetry, the flower may be actinomorphic radial symmetry or zygomorphic bilateral symmetry. When a flower can be divided into two equal radial halves, they may be radial plane passing through a center. It is called actinomorphic. Example: mustard, datura, chili. When it can be divided into two similar halves only in one particular vertical plane, it is zygomorphic. Example: pea, gulmohar, bean, cassia. A flower is the asymmetric or irregular if it cannot be divided into two similar halves by any vertical plane passing through the center, as in Kana. A flower may be trimerous, tetramerous, or pentamerous when the floral appendages are in multiples of 3, 4, or 5, respectively. Flowers with the bracts reduce the leaf found at the base of the pedicel called the bracteate, and those without bract is called ebracteate. Based on the position of the calyx and corolla and the androecium in respect of the ovary on thalamus. The flowers are described as a hypogynous, perigynous, and epigynous. In the hypogynous, flowers are gynoecium occupies the highest position while the other parts are situated below it. The ovary in such flowers are said to be superior. Example: mustard, china rose, and brinjal. In gynoecium, it is situated in the center and other parts of the flowers are located on the rim of the thalamus. Almost at the same level, it is called perigynous. The ovary here is said to be the half inferior. Example: plum, rose, peach. In epigynous flower, the margin of the thalamus grow upward, enclosing the ovary completely and getting fused with it. The other parts of the flower rises above the ovary, hence the ovary is said to be inferior, as in flowers of guava and cucumber, and the ray florets of sunflower. Parts of flower. Each flower normally has four floral whorls: calyx, corolla, androecium, and gynoecium. 1.1 Calyx. The calyx is the outermost whorls of the flowers and the members are called sepals. Generally, sepals are green, leaf-like and protect the flowers in the bud stage. The calyx may be gamocephalous, sepal united, or polycephalous, sepals free. Corolla. Corolla is composed of petals. Petals are usually brightly colored to attract the insect for pollination. Like calyx, corolla may be gamopetalous, petal united, or polypetalous, petal free. The shape and color of the corolla vary greatly in plants. Corolla may be tubular, bale shaped, funnel shaped, or wheel shaped. Estivation. The mode of arrangement of sepal and petals in the floral bud with respect to the other members of the same whorls is known as estivation. The main types of the estivations are valvate, twisted, imbricate, and vexillary. When sepals and petals in the whorls just touch one another at the margin without overlapping, as in calotropes, it is said to be valvate. If one margin of the appendages overlap the next one, and so on, as in the china rose, ladyfinger, and cotton, it is called twisted. If the margin of the sepals and petals overlap one another but not in any particular direction, as in cassia and gulmohar, the estivation is called imbricate. In pea and bean flowers, there are 5 petals and largest overlap the two lateral petals wings, which is turn overlap the two smallest anterior petals kill. This type of the estivation is known as vexillary or papilionaceae. Androecium. Androecium is composed of stamens. Each stamen, which represents the male reproductive organ, consists of a stalk or a filament and an anther. Each anther is usually bilobed and each lobe has two chambers. The pollen sac, the pollen grains are produced in pollen sac. A sterile stamen is called staminode. Stamens of the flowers may be united with other members such as petals or among themselves. When stamens are attached to the petals, they are epipetalous as in brinjal or epiphyllous when attached to the perianth as in the flowers of lily. The stamen in the flower may either remain free, polyandrous, or may be united in varying degrees. The stamen may be united into one bunch or one bundle monodelphous in a China rose or two bundles didelphous as in P or into more than two bundles polydelphous is as in citrus. There may be variations in the length of filamentous within a flower as in salvia and mustard. Gynoecium. Gynoecium is a female reproductive part of the flower and is made up of one or more carpels. A carpel consists of the three parts, mainly stigma, style and ori. Ori is the enlarged basal part on which the lies elongated tube and style. The style connects the ori to the stigma. The stigma is usually at the tip of the style and is the receptive surface of the pollen grain. Each ovary bears one or more ovules attached to the flattened cushion-like placenta. When more than one carpel is present, they may be free as in lotus and rose and are called apocarpus. They are termed syncarpus when the carpels are fused as in mustard and tomato. After fertilization, the ovules develops into seeds and the ovary matures into a fruit. Placentation. The arrangement of ovules within the ovary is known as placentation. The placentation are of different types, namely marginal, axial, parietal, basal, central and free central. In marginal placentation, the placenta forms a ridge along the ventral suture of the ovary and the ovules are born on this ridge forming two rows, as in P. When the placenta is axial and the ovules are attached to it in the multilocular ovary, the placentation is said to be axial, as in China rose, tomato and lemon. In parietal placentation, the ovules developed on the inner wall of the ovary and peripheral part. Ovary is one-chambered but it becomes two-chambered due to the formation of a false septum. Example, mustard and agemone. When the ovules are born on central axis and the septa are absent, as in dianthus and primrose, or the placentation is called free central. In basal placentation, the placenta develops at the base of the ovary and a single ovule is attached to it, as in sunflower and marigold. The fruit. The fruit is a characteristic feature of the flowering plants. It is a mature and ripened ovary developed after fertilization. If a fruit is formed without fertilization of the ovary, it is called parthenocarpic fruit. Generally, the fruit consists of a wall or a pericarp or seed. The pericarp may be dry or fleshy. When pericarp is thick and fleshy, it is differentiated into outer epicarp and middle mesocarp and the inner endocarp. In mango and coconut, the fruit is known as a drupe. They develop from the monocarpillary superior ovaries and are one-seeded. In mango, the pericarp is well differentiated into an outer thin epicarp, a middle fleshy edible mesocarp, and the inner stony hard endocarp. In coconut, which is also a drupe, the mesocarp is fibrous. The seed. The ovules after fertilization develop into seeds. A seeds may be made up of a seed coat and an embryo. The embryo is made up of a radicle and embryonal axis and one as wheat and maize, or two dicotyledon as the gram and pea. Structure of dicotyledonous seeds. The outermost covering of the seed is the seed coat. The seed coat has two layers, the outer testa and the inner tegmen. The hilum is a scar on the seed coat through which the developing seeds were attached to the fruit. Above the hilum is a small pore called micropyle. Within the seed coat is the embryo consisting of an embryonal axis and two cotyledons. The cotyledons are often fleshy or full of reserve food material. At the two ends of the embryonal axis are present the radicals and the plumule. In some seeds, such as castor, the endosperm formed as a result of double fertilization is a food storing tissue and called endospermic seeds. In plants such as bean, gram and pea, the endosperm is not present in mature seeds and such seeds are known as non-endospermous. Structure of a monocotyledonous seeds. Generally, monocotyledonous seeds are endospermic, but some of is in orchid and non-endospermic. In the seeds of cereals such as maize, and the seed coat is membranous and generally fused with the fruit wall. The endosperm is bulky and stored food. The outer covering of endosperm separates the embryo by the proteinous layer called embryonic layer, and the embryo is small and situated in a groove at one end of the endosperm. It consists of one large and the shield-shaped cotyledon known as scutellum, and the short axis with a plumule and a radicle. The plumule and the radicals are enclosed in the sheath which are called coleoptile and coleorhiza respectively. Semi-technical description in the typical flowering plant. Various morphological features are used to describe a flowering plant. The descriptions has to be brief in a simple and scientific language and presented in a proper sequence. The plant is described beginning with its habit, vegetative characters, root, stem and leaves, and then floral characters, inflorescence and flower parts. After describing various parts of the plant's floral diagram and the floral formula are presented. The floral formula is represented by some symbols. In floral formula, BR stands for bracteate, K stands for calyx, C stands for corolla, P for perianth, A for androecium, and G for gynoecium. G dash for the superior ovary, dash G for the inferior ovary, that's for the male and that sign for the female, and that sign for the bisexual plant, plus for the actinomorphic plant, and percentage sign for the zygomorphic nature of the flower. Fusion is indicated by the enclosing the figure within the bracket and adhesion by the line drawn above the symbol or the floral parts. The floral diagram provides information about the number of the parts of the flowers, their arrangement and the relation they have with one another. The position of the mother axis with respect to the flower is represented by a dot on the top of the floral diagram. Calyx, corolla, androecium and gynoeciums are drawn in a successive whorls, calyx being the outermost and the gynoecium being the central. Floral formula also shows the cohesion and the adhesion within the parts of the whorls and between the whorls. The floral diagram and the floral formula in figure 5.20 represent the mustard plant family Brassiaceae. Description of some important families. Fabaceae. This family was earlier called Papilionoideae, a subfamily of the family Leguminous. It is distributed all over the world. Vegetative characters: tree, shrub, herb, root with the root nodules. Stem erect or climber. Leaves alternate, pinnately compound or simple, leaf base, pulvinate, stipulate and venation reticulate. Floral characters: inflorescence racemose, flower bisexual zygomorphic, calyx sepal 5, gamosepalous velvet, imbricate estivation. Corolla, petals 5, polypetalous, papilionous, consisting of a posterior standard, 2 lateral wings, 2 anterior ones forming a keel, enclosing stamen and the pistil, vexillary estivation. Androecium 10, didelphus, anther dithecus. Gynoecium ovary is superior, monocarpillary, unilocular with many ovules and style single. Fruit, legume type, seed, one to many and non-endospermic. And the floral formula is like that. Then the economic importance, many plants belonging to this family are the sources of pulses, gram, arhar, same, moong, soyabean, edible oil, soyabean groundnut, dye, indigofera, fibrous, sun hemp, fodder, sesbania, trifolium, ornamentals, lupin, sweet pea, medicine, mullaty. Solanacea. It is a large family commonly called as the potato family. It is widely distributed in tropics, subtropics and even temperate zone. Vegetative characters, plant mostly herbs, shrubs and rarely small trees. Stem herbivorous, rarely woody, aerial, erect, cylindrical, branched and solid, or hollow, hairy or glabrous. Underground stem in potato, Solanum tuberosum. Leaves alternate, simple, rarely pinnately compound, exstipulate, venation, reticulate. Floral characters. Inflorescence. Solitary, auxiliary or cymose as in Solanum. Flower. Bisexual and actinomorphic. Calyx, sepal united, persistent, velvet estivation. Corolla, petals 5, united and velvet estivation. Androecium, stamen 5, epipetalous. Gynoecium, bicarpillary, obligate, placed, syncarpous, ovary superior, bilocular, placenta swollen with many ovules and axial. Fruit is of berry or capsule type. Seed many endospermous, and the floral formula is like that. Economic importance. Many plants belonging to this family are the sources of food. Tomato, brinjal, potato, spice, chili, medicine, belladonna, ashwagandha, fumigatory, tobacco and the ornamentals, Neponia. Liliaceae, commonly called the lily family, is the characteristics representative of the monocotyledonous plant. It is distributed worldwide. Vegetative characters, perennial herb with underground bulb, corms and rhizome. Leaves mostly basal, alternate, linear, exstipulate with parallel venation. Floral characters, inflorescence, solitary, cymose of an imbricate cluster. Flower, bisexual, actinomorphic. Perianth, sepal 6, 3 plus 3, often united into tube or velvet estivation. Androecium, stamen 6, 3 plus 3, epipetalous. Gynoecium, tricarpillary, syncarpous, ovary superior, trilocular with many ovules and axial placentation. Fruit, capsule type or rarely berry type, and the seeds are endospermous, and the floral formula is like that. Economic importance. Many plants belonging to this family is the good ornaments. Tulip, gloriosa, source of the medicine, aloe, vegetables, asparagus, and the uh, Cloicona autumnale. Here the morphology of the flowering plants lesson is completed. Thank you.